Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Speedify Live Office Hours. I'm your host, Alex Gizis, and I'm here with Kevin, the lead developer at Speedify. So what is Office Hours? I'll tell you. Office Hours is your chance to ask us, the makers of Speedify, questions. So while you think about what those are, give us a follow, smash that like button, subscribe, whatever it is, wherever you're watching. Bang those buttons so you get notified next time we go live. If you do have a question, you post it wherever you're watching this video in the comments and we'll see them. So hi to everybody out there. Good to see we have people from India today. That's good. People all over the world using Speedify. So one question we've been talking about here, airplane mode on flights. When your flight takes off, do you actually put your phone in airplane mode? Obviously you should. Well, it's less obvious how much it matters. It used to be that airplane mode shut everything off, right? Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular. Now it only turns off your cellular. Because, they want the in-flight entertainment and stuff to work, and everybody's headphones are Bluetooth. And, airplane mode does a lot less than it used to do. So, are you guys doing it? Are you actually turning it off when they tell you to? Just curious. So again, if you have questions, post them. We will see them, at least if you are watching on YouTube or Twitch. Other places, hard to say. So we have some new videos coming on our YouTube channel. We've got a Between Two Palms discussion about how 5G was overhyped. What's holding it back, and what is coming in 6G. Some of the 6G stuff, I guess it's a mature technology, a little less revolutionary than you might hope for. But right now, 6G is at the stage of proposals. So all these companies have turned in proposals for features they think should get added in 6G, and how it would work. And they're all, reading each other's proposals and thinking about it. We also have a bunch of shorts about low Earth orbit and geosynchronous satellites, the pros, the cons. A lot of satellite internet services these days. It is. Hello, Jenny. Glad to have you here. I'm not in general going to pop up all the comments from everyone saying hi, but if you have questions, I'll pop them up. What can we do to help you? So the Starlink in-flight stuff is finally coming. United Airlines has it on a lot of the United Express planes, which isn't the place that makes the most sense, but I guess it's the easiest to test. These are the little planes that they fly around just the U.S. on little routes. So they're putting it on it, and they've got free Wi-Fi via Starlink. Now, where the Starlink really becomes awesome is when you start flying over oceans and still have good internet all the way. So that is super exciting. Hello, speed of some servers are very slow. Can I use 2 or 3 others useless?
So where are you located, and what servers are you trying to use? Because yeah, certainly your location relative to the servers can have a big effect. The further away the servers are, the slower they're going to be. But yeah, particularly certain countries also might have bad peering with certain server locations. So you might have to try some different server locations and see what works for you. But yeah, I'd be curious to know where you're located.
Jenny says, trying to optimize internet connectivity, both domestic and international, off the beaten path in countries where quality consistency may be a factor. There's no open sky recommendations. All right, so satellites out. I mean, otherwise, these days, most people's recommendation is, get a Starlink. In a lot of these countries, you can get, pay-as-you-go SIM cards. Have a couple, whether it's 4G, 5G modems, or just Android phones that you tether, I don't know, you're trying to get to your laptop or whatever, and then you can use Speedify to combine them. That's my main answer. Try to get as many cellulars as you can.
Yeah, I don't know how mobile your setup is, but I mean, there's things you can do with directional antennas, but if you're traveling around and stuff, that might be not practical.
The Miri guys had a nice demo. So they've got their bonding router. Good piece of solid professional gear with a 4G and a 5G modem. But they sell, also a patch 5G antenna. So you can connect a 4x4 MIMO at it and point it at a tower. And so apparently, if you know where the tower is, you can really get a phenomenal amount of gain and get much better signal. In fact, I've heard of reporters doing this when they're at a place where everyone's using their cell at the same time, so cell phones don't work. Use a directional antenna to point at a tower that's much further away because that tower is not busy, and so you fire a beam off to get on that further away tower. All right, how long before we have the ability to self-host servers? People are working on that.
Yeah, I don't think we have an exact timeline, but it is in progress.
Coming. Tickets are getting closed. Things are, he's in Iran.
Okay, yeah, that's going to be pretty difficult. I mean,
because there's a whole nother level. It's not just your location. It's the fact that there's likely firewalls trying to mess with us.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're kind of stuck with whatever servers you can find that'll work, and there's not a whole lot of good options there, unfortunately. They do a lot to try and block us and firewall our traffic or throttle it.
Yeah. All right. Do you think it's a bad idea to put Chanel servers worldwide in my own cloud as opposed to using AWS cPanel?
Chanel servers worldwide in my own cloud as opposed to using AWS.
So let's talk AWS. Super convenient. If you're using a lot of bandwidth, super expensive. Their rates on ingress, outgress, data coming in and out of their data centers is so high, we can't use them. Right? I mean, people say we charge a lot of money. Well, woohoo! We'd have to charge 10 times as much if we were hosting on AWS. Now, some apps just don't use that much data, and so there are lots and lots of very happy AWS customers. But people streaming video and stuff, the costs get crazy. We also need, we need good latency everywhere in the world, and AWS, they're getting there. They're adding more and more locations. But for us, it's still not enough. So we need servers all over the place. So we end up using, smaller providers and stuff. We're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA.
But we have servers all over the world. But the speed, you may have good speeds within your country, but you need to be able to get. We don't have any servers in Iran, so you need to be able to get good speeds externally to other countries. And it's possible that they may be, throttling what looks like VPN traffic or trying to block what looks like VPN traffic leaving the country. So that's the other factor there. So while you may see good speeds on speed tests, that won't necessarily translate to what you get using the VPN.
And if someday somebody comes along and says, no, it'll be 7 times as expensive, don't sue me. Right? But we're smaller providers. So who are we using these days?
So I guess it depends where you're located. But if we're talking about the US, I know there's Linode and Vultr and one provider, one cloud, or some in DigitalOcean, I think are some of the big ones we use in the US. I know there's other ones in other countries.
So that's second tier. There are those really big, expensive, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. We don't use those guys. All those guys, their costs on bandwidth are so outrageous. But yeah, then there's that whole other tier of good professional hosting companies that aren't that kind of name brand. They do great jobs, and pay a couple $100 extra per server per month and get unlimited bandwidth. Fine. How does a phased array antenna in the Starlink Aero terminal maintain connectivity at high speeds in flight? I don't have any inside information. My impression is that airplanes go at high speeds, but they mostly go in straight lines. And the satellites are going at high speeds, but they go in, technically parabolic, curves. And I don't think it's that hard. I mean, the numbers are pretty big, but the dish knows where it's going to be in 1 second, and it can calculate where the satellite will be in 1 second, and it can just adjust, how it adjusts the phase, the different omnidirectional antennas. I bet it's not that hard given a GPS, and that it's got, the routes of the satellites programmed.
Yeah. But yeah, we don't know for sure. We don't know the inner workings.
No inside information, but yeah. I mean, they're not doing it during a dogfight, right? These planes aren't. They're flying straight across the ocean.
Yeah, and I don't know these terminals if they're talking to multiple satellites at once. I'm assuming that they probably have some sort of mechanism.
One of the, I was reading some of the Starlink stuff. Some of the stuff implied that it was real. The dish on the outside was actually 2 dishes, so it could, to get extra bandwidth or whatever, talk to 2 satellites at once. But that it's just 2 dishes really right next to each other. Us? Oh, we do Speedify. What the heck? I'm gonna let Kevin take this. Kevin.
Yeah. Background. So Speedify is an app or service that basically our goal is to improve your internet experience. We do that in some different ways, but main way is that we try to take advantage of multiple internet connections. So for example, your phone has a Wi-Fi connection, a cellular connection. We can use those at the same time intelligently, either to give you more speed or more reliability by seamlessly switching between them or sending some packets on both connections at the same time and delivering whatever gets through first. We have different modes of operation. And then, if you're talking about, a desktop computer, laptop computer, you can plug in multiple internet connections at the same time. You can have Wi-Fi and Ethernet and some other connections that you can plug in.
So why don't I show Speedify running on our computer here? Let's lean in.
Yep.
So this is Speedify running on the Mac right here on the desk in front of us. And we have 3 internet connections right now. We have an Ethernet going to a Comcast cable modem. We have Wi-Fi going to a Starlink. And we have cellular, which is this iPhone tethered with a USB cord to the Mac. So given the 3 together, we're able to get really reliable streaming. Now you can see most of the time it just uses the Comcast cable modem, but in some burst right there, it was really unhappy. So it decided to use the other connections as well to make sure nothing weird happened. And ooh,
that lines up with the loss in this. So it was in the middle of those 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, something. So yeah, if we're detecting packet loss or high latency, things like that during your stream, then it can decide to use multiple connections at once, or if you have multiple slow speed connections, Speedify can bond them and add up the speeds. If you have 2 10 megabit connections, you can add them up and get close to 20 megabits of download, or upload. So yeah, a lot of times people that have slow uploads on their internet connections, they can combine multiple and get faster upload speeds. A lot of connections nowadays, they have ample download speeds, but not a lot of upload speed. So it can be a common concern for people is they want more upload speed. Yeah, lots of different use cases of people moving around as you're mobile. It can kind of seamlessly switch you between different connections without interrupting the applications or dropping connections, things like that.
All right. Does AWS make it difficult for you to switch away from them if you host your app with them? They don't do anything underhanded. What they do is they offer you all kinds of cool features to make it easier. They say, you know what? Instead of you renting a server and setting up a database on it, we have this RDS where we will rent you, a server with a database already set up on it. We'll take care of the backups. And in fact, that's what we do. We let them. I actually like that we don't have to remember to back up our database. We are paying Amazon and they are backing up our database every night. If we decided to move that service off AWS, we would have to figure out, who's going to back up the database and stuff. So they do a lot of that, S3, they make it so easy for you to store as many files as you want behind your web server. And they'll handle the hard drives and stuff. Don't worry about it. If you need more drives, they'll deal with it. You just store as many files as you want. And so that's how they get you. It's nothing underhanded. They just offer to take care of problems for you. Yeah. And then when you want to leave, you realize, oh, shoot, now I have to solve these problems.
Right. Yeah.
But other than that,
depends how tightly you're using some of their different features that they offer. They have all sorts of,
content
Lambda things
networks
and other worker things. So yeah, it depends how much your solution or whatever you're doing relies on that stuff or how easily portable it is. But yeah, if you're just setting up a server and running some different apps that you could easily take and run on a different server, then you're not necessarily locked in there. But if you're using the other parts of the infrastructure.
Reza says, how can we understand which server is more suitable for us? It's distance to my country server. So for normal users, our auto connect to fastest is usually right. And I'll tell you what it does. It's not that complicated. It uses your IP address to try to figure out where you are in the world, and then it tries to find 5 data centers that are close to you. And then to each of those data centers, it makes 5 web requests, asking the servers 5 times in a row, how busy are you? And it times those responses coming back. So now it's looking only at servers that seem to be nearby, And now we've got the latency to the connection. We've got some information about the reliability of the connection. If some of those answers didn't come back, that seems like a bad sign. And it knows how busy the servers are because they answered 5 times saying, oh, I'm really busy or I'm not busy at all. And so we just kind of combine that, as you can imagine, some sort of formula where, lower latency is good, reliability is terrible, busy servers not so good, and we find the best server for you. If you're in a much more complicated situation, you might want to spend some time connecting some of the servers and running speed tests, because Reza, you're dealing with firewalls and stuff that aren't normal stuff. The other spot where this algorithm fails, I'll just admit it right now, is that if your internet connection, that very first hop, if it's losing a bunch of packets, then just through pure luck, it could turn out that, when we go to the closest server, your connection might lose some packets, and you go to a further away server, and just through luck, you don't lose some packets there. Speedify can end up deciding, oh, I'm better off going further away, and it was just because of luck when the packets got lost. And the problem is we're trying to connect you within 2 seconds. So we only have time to ask like 5 questions to each server. How busy are you? 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 To each, we send off 25 requests. We see what answers we get back within 2 seconds. And then we're done. We pick a server and we stick with it. So if you want something more, if you want to spend more time actually connecting servers and doing speed tests, you may get a more accurate answer. But Roy asks, is there a way to increase the buffer size? If so, can you demonstrate that?
Can you give more information? What buffer size are you talking about? Can you give us more information about what you're talking about?
Yeah. Because in fact, there's a new feature for adding a new potentially giant buffer if you want it, the jitter buffer. But that might or might not have anything to do with what you're saying. So tell us a little bit more about what you're trying to do. O'Brien, has your Starlink connection ever gone down?
All the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our stance on Starlink, there are a lot of places the internet didn't work. Mountains and middle of deserts and the middle of the Australian outback and the middle of the ocean and on airplanes. And Starlink is revolutionary. Getting some of these spots that could not have internet 300 megabits down and 50 megabits up when things are going well. But it's unreliable. It is full of jitter in a way that other internet connections are just not. Every 15 seconds, every Starlink in the world changes satellites. They're synchronized. They all do it at the same time. So every 15 seconds, you get this tiny little glitch in your internet. It's pretty small, but sometimes you have a 15-second period where it doesn't get to a satellite. Sometimes you get this terrible connection. I don't know what it is. We have been seeing, I actually was looking, Starlink working 99.1% of the time. That is 32 seconds per hour. That doesn't work on average for Starlink users with Speedify.
Yeah.
Which, depending on, if you're in the middle of the ocean sending emails, that's fine. You may not even notice that the email doesn't go out for 16 seconds. Who cares? For people live streaming, though, it's not quite good enough.
Yeah, because there could be degrees of working. Even if it doesn't completely drop out, you can get periods where your latency spikes or the bandwidth goes way down for a period of time. And so, yeah,
my stat is failing seconds. Do you program that up? I don't actually know exactly what a failing second is, but that's what it is. They have 32 failing seconds per hour. So a Starlink plus anything is a good internet connection. Like, I'm not bashing Starlink. Starlink plus 3G You know, if you drop down to 2 megabits for that 32 seconds instead of being cut off the internet, again, a lot of you won't even notice, right? Seems a little slow. Reload. No, it's fast. I guess it was just my imagination, right? So Starlink bonded with anything is a good internet connection. DSL with 4G. It's fantastic. I'm watching from Nambia. Wow. I would like to try Starlink here because I'm trying to bring telemedicine to a remote area in Africa. Wow. Thank you for your service. That sounds like a great mission. Yes, Starlink works in a lot of countries. You know, obviously, space is open to everybody under international treaties. So the Starlinks are going over everyone's heads, but the countries control which companies can use which radio frequencies. So they can tell Starlink you're not allowed to beam internet down into my country. All right. Roy is talking about the jitter buffer.
Okay, I guess I'll explain what the jitter buffer is first for anyone. So there's certain cases where you might want traffic to be delivered at basically a consistent, repeatable latency. Sometimes when bonding connections at different latencies or having things with connections that has a variable latency, we just deliver packets whenever they get through. And for most things that works fine. But if you're doing something like a stream or whatever, where you want packets coming through at a consistent rate, consistent latency, you don't want them
like this live stream.
Yeah, you don't want them jumping around. A lot of cases, you're okay with a little bit of extra delay there to make sure that things get delivered. So we can have a buffer where we add some extra delay, and so as the packets get sent over whatever connection, they're kind of held at the receiving side until the correct time, and then they're released to the internet or to your client. So that's what we call the jitter buffer, or it's adding a fixed delay to your packets. So there's a new feature in recent versions. There's a couple things you can adjust. Currently, it's all only available on the command line interface, the Speedify command line interface. So there's a Speedify CLI fixed delay command. If you run fixed delay and add a number that tells you how long of a delay in each direction you're adding. So we default to 75 milliseconds in each direction, or 150 milliseconds round trip time. And then there's also commands where you can add particular ports or domains or IP addresses where you want that to apply to. So it'll identify flows of traffic that match those rules, and then it'll apply this buffer just to that traffic, and then your other traffic will be delivered normally without any extra latency or delay.
So jitter buffer, terrible for VoIP calls, right? If we're doing a two-way call, Google Meet, Zoom, where we're both on, and I talk and then you talk as soon as I'm done, adding the jitter buffer would give you clear images, but it would make people keep interrupting each other. The extra delay will make people keep interrupting each other, and it's probably a net loss. But for a stream like this, where we're streaming to you guys, and then you're responding by typing comments and clicking return, you wouldn't notice. We would notice if there was an extra half-second delay between when I say something and when what you type after you see it, right? So there, the extra quality is worth it. Although, to be honest, we didn't turn it on. We're not using it right now, right?
Yeah.
We'll try it next week. That's exactly what I need, a consistent latency across my connections. Yeah. Okay. Because Speedify is the same price everywhere.
We have to pay to host the servers, and servers can be expensive in South Africa. And
it's one of these paradoxes of our business. You would think we should lower the costs for the people in places like Africa who have need but don't have money. But hosting servers in Africa is more expensive than the U.S., right? U.S., a couple $100 a month, you can pick up pretty giant. I guess I'm getting old, but what I see is a giant, super fast server with unlimited bandwidth. Something like that is just not available at any price, as far as I can tell, in Africa. Even if we had the machine imported, the internet connections. South America is another one where I'm actually surprised how bad internet connections are in South America, even in data centers and things. A lot of times we'll pay for a gigabit of bandwidth and we'll get 30 megabits. So it's tough. Our costs are higher in a lot of the places where, unfortunately, people are more price sensitive. So tough, rock and hard place. They're not venture capital funded. It's All right. So we talked about the jitter buffer. Those of you on the Mac, the version outside the App Store is now, I think, the best version. And it is the best version, right? The version in the App Store does not have the command line interface. It's like you can't use the jitter buffer. You can't bypass different sites and stuff with the App Store version. So if you go to our website, you can get Speedify for the Mac directly from us, and it's a slightly better version. Good. Super convenient, and the bonding feature stabilized better. O'Brien asks, how many servers do you guys have, and when did your company start? Please tell us about your server start. All right. It's somewhere around 1,000 servers.
Yeah, I don't have the exact number, but yeah, we're spread across lots of countries around the world, lots of different points of presence.
Our total servers are more than 1,000. Not every one of them is a VPN server. Let's call it around 1,000 servers. I don't know.
Yeah. With varying capacities or abilities.
I think we're in over 100 different data centers. I think we're in slightly under 100 cities. There are cities like New York and London where we are in multiple locations, to be utterly fault tolerant. The company basically started, I can't believe it, at the end of 2009, I programmed up ConnectFi Hotspot, the app that turns a PC into a Wi-Fi router. And that was the start of our journey. By 2016, that's when we launched Speedify at CES in Vegas on mobile platforms. And ever since then, that's been what we do. We used to have a lot more apps. Some of them still exist. ConnectFi Hotspot is still there. It's still selling. We do a new version every other year, probably now.
Dispatch we had for a while.
Dispatch, that was a thing. That will be a thing again.
Yeah.
For once in future, King. When the apps we're going to bring back, although it may just be a feature in Speedify by the time it comes back. So, fun stuff. Very much self-funded. We are in Philadelphia. I like seeing people. Look, I made them come in just for you guys, and also for me. We also have staff in Serbia doing quality assurance and support. What else? Oh, that's a story. At the beginning, we used to do some consulting work and stuff to keep the lights on when the software wasn't selling as well as we wanted. But these days, it's all Speedify all the time. That's what we do.
Expanding now into routers and things like that recently in the past year.
Yeah. So the theme for the last year has been making sure Speedify can run on a router with a whole bunch of like Starlinks. So massive improvements to running over Starlink, to running over VSAT, support for the Starlink APIs to pull stats right off the router, support for OpenWRT on the router, scalability stuff. You know, turns out the performance issues when you're on one device accelerating one user's internet is surprisingly different than being, or maybe it's not surprising, being on a router and trying to speed up 100 different people's internet at the same time. You run into all sorts of fairness and queuing and tens of thousands of sockets running through you at the same time. And these are all things we've been dealing with in the last year. So now you can run Speedify on a big router with a lot of Starlinks connected to it at the same time and get pretty good performance. So that's that. But yeah, the Miri router.
We don't have it in here today.
Yeah, Will took it. He's switching. I know what he's doing. He's switching it over to OpenWRT. We're working on a big software upgrade. It is this fantastic router. It's like $2,000 with 15 months of service. It's got built-in 5G, built-in 4G. It's got 4 Ethernet, all of which are programmable. They can be connected to internet connections or to clients. It's got USB ports. It's got a touch screen.
Batteries.
Right. Well, I'm inspired. Has a billionaire ever approached to buy Speedify? We have been approached by companies you've heard of. But at this point, we are having too much fun to sell. I'm sure there's some dollar amount that makes everyone change their minds about fun and whatnot. But at this point, no, we're having a good time. We do get calls occasionally. I don't know. But I don't know. I like this. I'm having a good time. What the hell would I do if I was retired? I still might figure it out. Shouldn't think about that too hard. Yeah. So yeah, do check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of cool videos up there. Our Between Two Palms videos in particular, people really like. We've got right over here, set up over my shoulder, a little talk show setup where usually me and someone else will sit and discuss some technical topic. And sometimes it's me interviewing them, sometimes it's them interviewing me. So we talk a lot about in this latest one, 5G and 6G. You know, what happened? Was 5G overhyped? What is coming in 6G? Not 100% clear yet, but there are the proposals out there. They're talking about all these cool features, including letting companies run code in the cell phone towers to get super low latency. I don't know whether or not that's going to work out. All right, yeah, so there's a link to the latest video in the comments. And I think that's it. We said we'd go for half an hour or 10:40. All right. Cool, guys. It was awesome talking with all you guys. I'm glad you all joined. I really enjoyed this. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day, Kevin. I know you have a lot to do. So thanks, everybody. And I'll see you all online.